Welcome to the Wingly Update, name to be decided. Forget everything you know about programming language for the cloud. Now, welcome your host, Eyal Keren.
Hey! Hello! I'm not hearing myself twice. That's the first thing I want to say. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the Wingly update. We have, of course, Elad here.
Hi guys, everybody.
How you doing, Elad?
I'm great. We haven't been here for a while.
I haven't been here for a month.
Oh right, because you weren't at the previous one, which was a skipped one, right?
Right. So maybe I'm always confused. I haven't been here for 6 weeks, right? I mean, the last time I was here was 6 weeks ago. So, wow, long time. Can't remember anything. So I think we're probably starting with a small kind of chit-chat. That's what's happening right now. So we have a nice show today. A lot has happened in Wing. It's basically we have a lot of things to show, but we're just going to show a bunch of stuff. We're going to have, of course, Elad. We're going to talk about new language features, optional chaining, in-flight classes, and base classes. And then we're going to have a guest appearance of the one and only Mark the DJ that's going to talk about, where's the applause? Mark the DJ. That's going to give us a song we can listen to. And I have to admit, I'm starting to recognize Mark's song. I kind of feel like I'm going to see a Mark song on YouTube. I'm going to know it's probably coming. It's probably coming. And then we're going to use the other hat that Mark has and talk about the VS Code. We're going to demo some of the code completion.
His other gig, his side gig.
His side gig, exactly. And then we're going to talk about utility functions that we've added to Wing, 3 of them in particular. And with Shai, Bear, and then we're going to go back to live coding, but we're going to take a URL shortener that Chris has made, and we're going to add an analytics to it. That's the show that we have today. Okay. So let's start with you, Elad, the new language features that we have. We have optional chaining, in-flight classes, and base classes. Where do you want to start?
Optional chaining?
Optional chaining. Great. So you want me to show it and you can talk?
Yeah, sure.
So great. Let's do this, I think. Okay. So first of all, kind of explain to us what we're seeing in front of our screen. Oh, you want to do like this? This could be nice. Awesome.
I guess before we're talking about optional chaining, I think just a few words about like where we are in the project and our focus. I think we're trying to focus most of our efforts in stabilizing the existing surface area, and both at the language level, the SDK level, the Wing console level, making sure the quality is kind of like put the right quality bar, performance. So I think if you go to our GitHub and you look at PRs, you'll probably see mostly bug fixes, and kind of making sure that we have a solid foundation that we can continue to add more features in the future. Having said that, we still have a few features that we wanted to.
Yeah, optional chaining is not a bug fix, right? I mean,
yeah, optional chaining is definitely is a feature that we felt was missing for a beta, right? Like our focus is trying to get to a point where we can call Wing beta, and I always say we get there when we know when we get there, right? Like it's kind of like this weird undefined thing that we're trying to reach, and the best way for us to understand what is beta is by taking Wing for test drives and dog fooding and building things with it, and then realizing what's missing, and so that's our focus right now.
Yep.
And so let's talk about optional chaining.
So what is optional chaining? What's that?
So basically Wing has an optional type. The ability to say that a type is either has a value or doesn't have a value. And I think we talked about it last time or a few times, a few episodes ago, talked a little bit about optionality as a way for Wing to handle nullity, right? Like to handle a situation where there's no value, instead of like explicitly stating that something is nil, you specify that something is of an optional type. And many modern languages actually have support for optional types. And Rust is an example of a language that we use to write the compiler, and it has this option type that's very prevalent and used across APIs. TypeScript has optional types, which is kind of like it's more similar to how Wing defines it.
Right.
And the idea is that basically you try to be more explicit about how you deal with nullity, as opposed to just basically allowing things to be null and then having to like deal with nullity everywhere. You can specify that in this particular place there is a chance that there's no value, and then the compiler can give you safety around accessing these values. And
right. So maybe I should show what you do if you don't have optional chaining. Maybe I should show this. Maybe I should just create a JSON. Let's create a JSON here. A JSON. And I have an A, a B, and a C that is 10. Nice JSON. And if I don't have optional chaining, and I want in a safe area, because this is, actually I can do this. Get A, get B, this is get C here, and then as num, right? And I can just do let n equals, and I can just log this, log the n, right? Elad, are you with me?
I'm with you.
So if I'm going to do wing compile a.w, I should get 10. And that's nice. But I know anything all about the structure of this file, right? If I don't know the structure, this is unsafe, because if I don't get B here, then we're seeing that it crashes. We actually see in the compilation crashes in here. Basically, there's an exception that is thrown, right?
Yeah. Although, by the way, I don't think that that's the exception that we need here. I feel like that's kind of like a pre-flight exception,
right?
And we should actually have a better exception in this particular case. I think like it's how we're implementing JSON, the JSON get operation.
Because the JSON get should have thrown an exception on the B side, not in C.
Exactly.
So the exception here happens because of
we're doing a null referencing, right?
Yeah. So basically, the get A should return something, but get B shouldn't return anything, and that should throw an exception, because get should always return
something. Exactly.
I see. Great. But we still want to write code that is safe, even if we don't know what's the JSON structure, right? We assume that this is a JSON structure, so we need to create optional. So we have the function. I'm gonna comment this for a second. And if we don't have optional chaining, then we do let A equal J dot try get A. And this A,
with quotes.
Thanks, man. This A is actually what are we saying here? It's a JSON with a question mark. That means an optional JSON. It's either JSON or nil. Is that correct?
Exactly. Awesome. That's a notation for an optional type.
Right. So I can do if let, right? Is that correct? And then I can do if, I'm going to just move forward and not kill the time here. B A dot try get B. I'm doing the same thing. And there's the if let C equal B dot try get C. And then I can do if let n equal C try as number, like this, right?
Open bracket.
Sorry. And then I can do log. And this is safe. And this was tedious to write, so we're not going to do this entire thing. But
I love it that you chose like a very deeply nested object just for fun.
Yeah, and it doesn't print anything because we don't have if else statement, but if I'm going to uncomment it and print this, it should get a 10. So this is without optional chaining. Now we're not going to do this long chaining.
Well, you just did it.
Yeah, but we're not going to do this with optional chaining, right? Because we have a bug somewhere there. It's going to be a problem, right? But so what's optional chaining? Let me delete this thing. How do I use optional chaining?
So basically, it's similar to how TypeScript and JavaScript has. It's something that comes from the JavaScript syntax. It's like question mark dot.
Okay, so I'll do j dot try get a,
and that returns an optional.
Right.
And so every time you have an optional, you can use the optional. Right. Instead of dereferencing with a dot, you can dereference with a question mark.
Instead of doing try get like I did before,
which you see that the compiler doesn't let you, right? Like, what's the error? Property acts as an optional type. JSON question mark requires optional accessor.
Right. So let's do let. So let's do this. Right. It's like this.
Exactly.
And this allows me to basically call.
Only call the only dereference if there is a value. Basically, it'll break the chain of of access if there is a null value, and it will also return an optional. Right. Like
so if definition. I do like this, I should be seeing here an optional JSON. Right.
Correct.
And if I would do try as number, this becomes
an optional number, right?
Why is this an optional number?
Because if this entire expression
like this, right? This is still an optional number. Okay, so this is a problem. This is a bug.
What do you mean?
It should return an optional number.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
I think that's the specification.
Yeah. Awesome.
Are you standing on A?
I'm standing on A, and I should be seeing an optional number and not
correct.
Yeah, and not
correct. So the optional needs to be inherited from the chain. So we found like 3 bugs, I think, right?
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah. We talked before that the Wingly basically is a nice place to we go over the stuff, we talk about them, and then we can find other kind of cool programming languages bugs. I kind of love those bugs, but not to encounter them, but it's interesting bug to show.
Totally.
Yeah,
totally.
So this was optional chaining. What else do we have on our agenda? Do you want to talk more about optional chaining?
No.
Okay. So the next thing on our agenda is in-flight classes.
In-flight classes.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
So you want me to do it or you do it?
Can I grab the keyboard?
Yeah, sure. Okay, you're gonna. Doesn't make it as. So how did I pass the keyboard to you?
It's magic.
Okay.
It's magic.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, Wing has classes, right? And when you define a class here in the root scope of Wing, by definition, you're defining a pre-flight class. So everything that's part of the infrastructure of your application. So in this case, the foo class is a pre-flight class, but that means that if I have an in-flight closure, let's see, I have an in-flight closure, I cannot create an instance of the pre-flight class. Where's the mouse? Did we have any? So why do we have an echo? Dana, maybe you?
Now.
Okay.
Now.
There we go.
Piece of cake. Yeah, I'm so sorry guys for this. It's a lot's fault.
Okay, so we see that we cannot create a pre-flight class foo in an in-flight phase because foo is an object that can contain infrastructure resources. For example, one of the things that I can do here is I can go and Oh,
I told you.
keyboard.
I told you. I knew you're gonna.
I'm gonna hate the keyboard.
Yeah.
I can actually create a bucket. I can actually include a bucket in this inside this class. Oh. And and so basically there's no way for me to create an instance of foo in the in-flight phase. Right? Like I can create an instance of foo here, and I can interact with it from here. So I can say foo.bindBucket.put, whatever, right? Now, there are cases where I actually want to create classes that I'm using inside my in-flight code, right? Like my application class. Let's say I have a user type, right? And so a user type is a class that basically can be used in in-flight. I can instantiate it inside an in-flight closure. And the way you create classes like this in Wing is by saying in-flight class user. Let's say I have first name and last name, and I can say first, last, whatever, some example.
Can you remove the new foo? That's good.
Yeah.
And then this thing, exactly. Okay.
And so now basically I defined a class and I specified the in-flight modifier, which means that this is an in-flight class and I can actually instantiate it inside an in-flight closure. So I can do create user, Karen, and I can play with it and do whatever I want.
Right.
Now, there's also a use case where I want to create an in-flight class when I want to declare a class inside an in-flight closure, and so I can do this here, right?
Nice.
So that's the same thing, right? Like I don't have to specify this as an in-flight class because I'm already within an in-flight scope.
Can I challenge you? This
Yeah.
I mean, because the next thing is we have base classes. Can this in-flight class extend the outer in-flight class?
Ooh. Let's see.
Extends.
Extend user. Extends
Yeah.
user.
Okay.
Seems like it's not hating me, at least.
Yeah, but you have to call the init, right? I mean, interesting.
No,
Okay.
I need to do this, and then I can call super, right?
Right.
And I need to specify, let's say,
Yeah.
wow, I hate this keyboard so much.
Yeah.
And then I can basically do this, right?
So all the person inside that in-flight are Eyal Keren. I think that's a nice. I think
this
John
is like-
Malkovich made a movie.
John-
Being John Malkovich. Okay.
Exactly. And so this is also it's also important to mention that when you're defining an in-flight class, there's no need to specify that a method is an in-flight method, right? Like that's also implicit.
Right.
You can specify it, but like there's no need to do that because every method in an in-flight class is an in-flight method, which is not true for pre-flight classes, right? Like if I had a pre-flight class here, and I wanted to say, this is, the classic example. Oh. Wow, these.
Mark, I hope you're
Mark,
seeing.
I hope you're seeing
I hope you're
this.
seeing the in-flight
Snippet.
snippet. Is great when you need it, and not great when you don't need it.
Very not great when you don't need it. Okay,
Nice.
and so now you see that this pre-flight class has an in-flight method, and so when I instantiate it,
Maybe
and
you
this
should
is
create a pre-flight.
yeah,
Okay.
pre-flight method,
That's called method.
pref.
Okay.
You can see that I can call the pre-flight method from here because it's a pre-flight scope. And if I'm here inside my in-flight scope, or let's say I'm inside this scope, right? Like
Now you got me confused.
Now
Okay.
I'm calling. This is
Okay.
it's a pretty.
Yeah. I see.
But it's actually working, right?
Yeah.
Like I can actually define a pre-flight class here,
Yeah.
an in-flight, declare an in-flight class here, declare a method for that, an in-flight method, and
Yes.
capture this foo across the.
Kind of really bad programming to
Yeah,
capture an instance of a class inside the declaration of a different.
Correct.
I mean, it's not. There's some.
Yeah, I mean, think about a const, right? As in
Yeah, exactly.
maybe a less horrible example.
Awesome.
That's it. That's
Great.
in-flight classes, basically.
And
it's
base
like
classes.
actually regular classes. It's basically nothing special about them.
And base classes and
And we also showed base classes.
yeah,
which is-
and I want to kind of put some emphasis on the maneuver I did because the time was running out. So I said, let's do base classes. It's always a challenge to.
Exactly. Nice move. Nice maneuver.
Awesome. So this is the new. I mean, it's not the new. There's a bunch of language features that are new. This is the 3 ones we picked. We'll probably not going to have. Hopefully, not going to have new ones in 2 weeks. We're just going to fix bugs. But we'll have more to show because there's some on the pipeline.
I think I can share, maybe if it's of interest to anyone, we actually have.
You doing?
No, I'm trying to get here. We have. We've been working on some dog fooding projects.
Are you getting out of script?
Yeah, I'm getting out of script, and I'm also self-promoting my dog fooding project,
Okay.
which is called GitHub What's on My Plate.
Okay.
And I just did this, revisiting the project after we've been, working. And so you can see a bunch of, all of these issues were opened when I first created the project. And half of them are already closed, which is really cool. And I think it's an interesting example because it shows, the progress.
If it's that interesting, maybe it should have its own separate
Maybe
item.
maybe
it should.
but definitely something to look into. It's basically sending a Slack message every day with all of my open items on GitHub.
Okay.
Issues and pull requests and everything.
Okay. So I took a note. We're going to talk about this project. It's a cool project. And also, you did CI/CD, which last time you said Sebastian stuff. Let's talk about this next time. And right now, what we're going to do, we're going to have Mark. Can I get mine? And keyboard. Thank you, man.
See you later. We'll meet soon.
Yeah. So we have Mark the DJ. So clap for Mark. Join Mark.
Hello.
How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great. So far, enjoying the show.
So are you enjoying the show? What was?
Yeah, even with a lot going crazy and going off scripts, still good.
Yep. He was off the grid. He was off the grid.
Yeah. I was like, oh, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
Yeah. No one knew. So we're gonna talk with Mark the DJ. Are you ready? What do you have for us today, Mark?
Well, I have the 2 things I usually have, which is music and VS Code. That's
Okay.
I guess I should stop saying VS Code. It's the language server. Just to be clear to everyone, the language server helps with not just VS Code. Anything that integrates with that protocol will be getting 95% of the benefits. I think there's a couple VS Code specific things, but yeah, that's what I'm bringing today.
What are the couple of VS Code specific things?
It's kind of just it's weird little stuff well, you know what? I'll mention it. We'll probably see it when we're talking about some of the stuff today. It's it's very little minor stuff, and other things can support it, but it's client versus server support. The client has to support the thing that the server is providing, and VS Code, being Microsoft, supports 100% of the things all the time because that's their baby, and other things have to catch up.
Yeah, awesome. So and for the song that we're gonna hear today, what's that about?
The song is it's a song that I like. I don't know. Whenever I come on live, I needed that. I'm so bad at doing a bit about it.
Oh, really?
I can't do It's a song that's good and I like it. What were you saying earlier about something about my? I wasn't. I didn't understand.
When I looked at the song, when I saw the clip, I said, "Ah, yeah, of course." I mean, I would recognize
Okay,
this is a song that's going to come to the show, even if I didn't know it's. I mean, even if I seen it, just catch it. So, do you want to
Yeah.
go kind of abruptly into the song while I'm talking? Is that what you want to do?
Or do you want me to do that thing where I say, "Here's"? Should I do that, or do you want to just?
She said, how could you joke at a time like this?
Hey, Mark.
That was perfect.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I love. We didn't plan that. That could not have gone better.
Yeah, I mean, it's planning just we're in the moment for
Yeah.
That's our motto in the Wingline product.
Oh yeah.
Planning is our motto. Great. So what are we? Let's close this thing for a second. Not to offend
Well, I think there were already some spoilers here.
Yep.
The big thing to talk about is that now there's documentation for types that you get from like Cloud or from any JSI libraries that you use. So yeah, it's not show. Okay. Well, it should show for the other thing too. But
it does show. But
no, it's hiding it. If you go far to the right where it says Q in the completion, there should be like a little arrow that pops up if you mouse over.
Okay. Nice.
Like that.
Oh, I didn't know this.
I think it's hiding it because your screen size.
Ooh.
But anyway, yeah. So the completion is on, the documentation is on Hover, and as well as like while you're doing completions.
Right.
And now we show the information as well for the signature.
Right. Let's do something. The API is always complex, so let's take a look at it.
Okay.
Let API equal, and then I do API.get now.
Yeah, so this is the juicy stuff. So this is like, I think when you first start using Wing before this was a huge pain point. Like, okay, let me go reference the docs to see what is what. So you have all the parameters here, you have their names, and you have the types, and you have the documentation for the for the parameter and for the whole type itself. Not only that, but like if you put a string in and you go to the next argument, it actually it'll update. It's okay. And you go to the next thing, and it highlights and changes the docs. I think the representation is still somewhat a work in progress, but all the information's there, so you shouldn't. You might be able to write full Wing programs without having to reference the doc site now, which is a super speed boost.
Right.
When writing things.
So I keep noticing that because I'm using this a lot. I'm doing like this thing. Do you have any plans to solve my Cloud docs problem? Cloud doc.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I don't have I'm not working on it right now.
Okay, yeah.
but it's I think it's either an issue or I'm definitely aware of it. I think the main thing is like even the representation in the docs in that little doc needs work. It's there's been a lot of talk about it with the team to kind of figure out how do we best represent these things. Like even I'm just hovering over some of them, like you can see there's some ugly little bits, but the information's there, and so it's definitely a great start. Really happy with how this is going. A lot of credit to Alad actually implemented like the initial like adding the docs to be available, and then I just took that and sprinkled it in more places. Okay. So super nice. I should say, okay, so one of the features that is missing VS Code, in case anyone's interested, is if you go back to line 3, for example, and you like delete the parentheses part, like so go backspace 3 times, and then put the parentheses. You notice how it popped up the signature help is what that's called. That little box that comes up. That's actually not a feature necessarily of the language server. That's actually the language server sends a command to the client saying, "Hey, you should probably open up your signature help thing if you have it." But not all clients may necessarily respond to the same exact message.
Yeah.
So it's not a very direct like call and response like the usual thing. So this is the kind of thing I'm talking about, like very minor. Like the data's there, but the client has to do a little work. So
it's more like an event-based thing. I'm notifying you that you can do this, but you can decide to kind of.
yeah, it's literally like it says, "Hey, run this command." Like, and so VS Code has like a command system.
Yeah.
It's literally just saying, "Hey, run that."
Got it.
Yeah, it's definitely a little weird, but gets the job done. And that's like that's how you do it with this. So
awesome. So we have we have requests, and then we have vars, and then we can do get, and this is something helping here a lot in this thing. It's auto completion. This is awesome. I mean, it's kind of trivial when we think about this when we're coming, but there's a lot of work to here. And specifically, you mentioned this in the previous show. It wasn't the best show. Some key parts of the show were missing, some key people. But you mentioned that in order to do this, it's basically you have to always compile an incomplete program, which I think that's a nice. As you know, the product basically we're looking at you people and say, what's taking you so long? So I was wondering what's taking you so long, but it makes a lot of sense when you mentioned that there's this complexity that you have to complete the actual syntax of the language basically to match. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a definitely a hard problem, especially like we're using Treesitter for our parsing, and it's a great tool, but like we're not right. We didn't write it, so there's some gaps into how it handles things that since we know how Wing works. Well, this should work, but then Treesitter doesn't know that quite as well. So a cool example that has happened in the last month, I'm pretty sure. If you go into the next line and do if API dot, and you'll see that it should show completions there.
Oh, nice. That's nice.
This is hard. Then this is a hard problem because this happened at some point. I don't know when this was fixed, but it was fixed sometime. So but this is a hard problem because how it's actually, you look at a program, you're like, oh, it starts with an if. This must be an if statement that you're starting, but that's actually it's a non-trivial problem to say to kind of figure it out. So now we actually give you a proper error saying before it was oh, I don't know what happened and it explodes.
Right.
Now it
would basically complete to the kind of the I don't know what happened. Bring cloud, something like that, right?
Yeah, if you put bring true or if true, just put if true, it should tell you hey, you're missing a block. You need to put a block there. Yeah.
Nice.
Which is a better error than was there before, where it was just all red.
Out of these are kind of we're solving specific private use cases, or this solves a lot of stuff. I mean, this example is true. It's you have to. Do you have to solve this specifically for this specific case in the code?
Most of them, I don't. It's really hard to find things that have just one case. I think so. In the case of the if statement, we have several. What's the term? Syntactic structures that are keyword, thing, and then block.
If let.
So if let I actually haven't tested if let. I think that was added around the same time. But if let might work. But then for loops as well.
Yeah.
If else is the similar thing. Try catch.
Yeah.
These are all they're all kind of the same. They're actually they all look kind of the same when you extract it out. So this fixing that fixed it for all those cases.
Got it. Okay, I understand. Awesome. And the last thing we have on this topic is diagnostic. What's the improvement of diagnostic from a technical perspective? I know a bunch of buzzwords. We took the JSification and put it in the LSP. Am I correct?
No. Yeah, I mean that's from the underlying side. That's from technically what happened, but from a user perspective, what you'll notice. What was happening before was that sometimes your ring program would fail, and you wouldn't have any red squigglies in your code or in your editor, which can still happen for in-flight errors or some other type of far runtime errors, but that should never happen for compiler errors. If your editor's is, there's no red in your thing, your program should compile.
Right.
That's just a given. So we had a problem where we were skipping a certain part of our compiler in the language server due to some concerns about performance slash like the fact that it actually wrote to the file system. And we were like, oh, we don't want to do that every time you push a character. So through some changes internally, Chris handled like the major change there, and I just kind of flipped the switch and turning it on. So now we actually run that phase where it does analysis of like the capturing mechanism, the lifting mechanism. Not sure how much I will bother saying about that, but like making sure that the permissions that you need for accessing like the bucket or something, like making sure that all checks out and your everything works there. Like previously we cared about if you're trying to access a mutable pre-flight thing in flight. That's changed now recently, but we'll see. But that was an error that was happening all the time, and you wouldn't see it in the editor, and it would break your program and you'd be confused. So yeah, that's changed. That's changed now. I can't even think of an example, to be honest.
We just talked about this before. Because of this recent change, which we're not gonna, maybe we'll touch it next time. The kind of the classic example for this, basically, we took away from you. But if you do think about the example, it's going to be interesting.
But the core idea that what the compiler runs and what VS Code runs are now one-to-one.
Right.
That's important. That's very important.
We still have an unsolved issue, I think. If I do a let b equal, if I do cloud.bucket and I do this 2 lines and I'm going to save this, this is not the compiler, but we have a kind of a synth problem, right? I mean, is that the right word? I mean,
yeah, it's I'm messing up something that I also it bugs me when that, because it's a confusing thing. A compilation does refer to what you're talking about. It includes the pre-flight execution of that. So yes, we were missing that because that is still too expensive. So
this is actually running this CDK, basically building the CDK construct tree, right? Is that correct?
It's building it depends on your target. So it's whatever target. So, but you could be using CDK for Terraform, CDK or AWS CDK, and those, they're not that slow. I mean, sometimes they are, but mostly they're just slow enough that where it's unacceptable. For like per keystroke. So we'll figure out something for that maybe, but it's definitely for now we're accepting that difference.
Awesome. Great. Okay. Anything else you want to share with? Anything you want me to show? You've been an excellent I've been driving here and go to line 3. You were awesome, and I couldn't do your job. It's too confusing for me.
Well, luckily it's there's actually on the surface not a lot of things have not changed. Like you see the docs. The docs are where you mostly where you expect them to be.
Right.
That's kind of like, that's why it was pretty easy to show, because it should just show you when you expect to see them. I will say that this works for JSI library, which is great because a lot of those, especially like CDKTF provider and AWS CDK are very well documented. So so you should be able to see useful info from those.
I'd like something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, you'll have to install it.
I have to do it. Yeah, but most chances I have it. Oh no, I have this.
Oh, do AWS CDK then?
Yeah.
Why not?
And then AWS CDK.
You want to make a bucket?
Make a bucket.
Oh, I think also since the last month, I don't know, the performance improvements for this have gone through. I forget what's happened. It's been a while, right? This used to also be very slow.
AWS underscore.
Who's talking? Who's talking? Do you hear someone talking? Underscore S3. Okay. Yeah. So this is new. Right?
Yeah. So if you hover over bucket, it'll show you.
How?
I'll compile to AWS CDK.
Yeah, why don't you compile it to it? So.
Do those not have docs? Well, if you hover over, it's the arrow again. It's not showing you the docs again when you if you do b dot.
B dot. Oh, I see what you're saying. Send this, and then I can go into this thing and see.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, well, it is still missing stuff. But if you hover over, oh, there,
Yeah.
okay, there's something.
Right.
So I mean, not everything has docs, but that's not
Yeah.
that's not always our fault. That's
Yeah.
sometimes just the source library doesn't have docs for it.
Right.
Yeah. So this applies to all that, which is I mean, boom, a lot of documentation for free.
Amazing. Amazing. Awesome, man. I think it's a good time to kind of clap and use your own Mark favorite kind of sound. So thank you, Mark. And thank you again, man, for doing this. And the next person on the show is going to be Bear, but we're gonna hear a little bit more of your song. So
Alrighty, thank you.
bye.
I know why, 'cause this is what you wanted all along now, isn't it? I think that all you really ever wanted was a reason to complain. That never stopped you before, don't let it get in your way. Those are her words.
Okay, so
Hey,
yep. Let me just go. Okay, how you doing, Shai?
doing great. Happy to be with you and not instead of you.
Yeah, look. There's something interesting. Even if I do like this, I'm not touching you, so we are actually in different rooms, right? It's interesting. It's
Wow.
an interesting concept.
We're worlds apart.
We're going to talk about some new stuff coming as part of a utility function, right? I mean, and we're going to mention 3 of them. Probably not in this order. I don't know. Let's start with fetch first. I mean, and then we'll sleep for a second, and then we'll wait for it. Wait until I think there's an error here. So I'm going to drive. I need to share my screen actually. Okay. And then let's close this
It's better than
thing.
sharing my screen, that's for sure.
So let's get this thing like this. So in order to test the fetch, I'm going to use the API gateway because the first thing I want to show is the util.fetch, or actually the HTTP, the bring HTTP command. But I'm going to do this by writing a test on the API gateway, which I think it's super cool because the same test can run on the cloud. We talked about this before, but it's super cool, I think. So let's just let's do like this. Let's do a let API equal new cloud API. And let's do API.get, like this. And then we copy this thing.
Ah, nice.
Copy this thing over here. And let's do this rec. Do cloud.cloud. And where did I go?
You're
I'm here doing like this, saving this, and saving it. So on the right side, I'm seeing the first time for today the dashboard, the WinConsole. By the way, you were seeing that the WinConsole right now runs on my browser. We're going to talk about this a little bit more probably in the next show, but there's cooking something very interesting for all of us. And
I'm surprised we didn't talk about it.
what?
I'm surprised we didn't talk about it.
Right. It's kind of a surprise that it's ready. I mean, I was surprised. So this API gateway is not going to be
fast
interesting
for us.
Yeah. This API gateway is not going to be interesting. I'm going to let's do item and then do ID. Just and let's get request dot vars dot get, and let's take the ID. Let ID equal, and then do return cloud.api response status 200 body just ID. ID is a string.
And by the way, I don't remember if we've ever talked about structs and how we instantiate them, but that's like
right.
It's a pretty cool syntax, right? Like it's not a class, the API response. We don't use the new keyword. We're just
How do I know that it's not a class? I know that it's not a class. I know that it's a struct because I know this API, but I don't see any indication that this is a struct. And it's
That's,
different because then I have to do new and something like that, but this is not going to work, right? This is
yeah, that's what happened to me the first time I tried to do it.
Okay, so this is nice. Cannot instantiate type API underscore because it's a struct and not a class. Use struct instantiation instead. This is nice, and so, but it's still missing the information. This is a struct, I think. I don't know. So that's
that's a very good point.
Yeah. So I have this API gateway, and I can basically go over here and get this item and call this item Eyal, Shai, and let's do hit send, and I'm going to get Shai as a result. And this allows me to basically test this not programmatically, right? I mean, but I do want to test this programmatically. And in order to do this, we're going to bring another thing to let's write a test. Test main. And now we need to have, we have the API.url. And we want to fetch, we want to get that we want to get that API.url /Shai and make sure that the result will be Shai. So I'm going to bring something new here. I'm going to bring HTTP.
Exciting.
So API URL, this I'm going to do HTTP dot, and I have delete, fetch, patch, post, put, all the basically kind of HTTP commands, methods, sorry. And I'm going to do get, I'm going to do API.url, which is kind of magic that I have it because, I mean, it's magic. I need to put this in a string. Let's do like this. Dash item. Am I wrong? Let's do a lot. He was thinking I'm wrong. Let's do
What's the type of the URL? It's not a string?
No, URL is a string.
But you need to add the item a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I made it a lot. And then I'm doing result. I'm looking at the body. The body is optional, right? So if I want to sell this, I can do log and print this. And it's going to scream at me because it's optional. There's two ways. I mean, the body.
Not only that, but it's also not type string.
No, the body is type string.
Body string, yeah.
Yeah, it's a recent change. The body was JSON, but we changed this to string, which is nice. So I'm gonna do. I can solve this in many ways. I can do like this thing, which will solve this. But I'm not too that satisfied because of it, because I define it's kind of a leaky solution. I'm gonna just do another thing of optionality. I'm gonna do nil. So if the body is not available, it's gonna do nil. Now I have this main function here. Are you able to see this on the?
Yeah.
Let's also add in a
step.
step. Yeah, let's also add in a step. I know what. Let's do this in a second. So I'm gonna run it, and now I have a lab here.
Nice.
Right? Because I did
it's
a lab.
creeping up everywhere on the show.
What? Yeah. So let's change this. Okay. Let's change this to Shai. Now I have Shai. Let's clean this again. Do this, and we have this.
Change it to Uli.
To Uli. He's not coming. I told him to come. He didn't come. I don't know. I feel.
Yeah. So now we can have him.
Nice. So let's do this again. Can I even do body equal Shai? Let's do accept. It's gonna work. Now it's interesting. We're allowing you to equality compare, and we have a topic about equality comparison, but we're allowing you to compare an optional off string with string, and this should work. And let's do Uti. Let's do Uti. And let's run those two things, and it works. So fetch works, which is nice.
Maybe it always works.
What? What do you say?
I said maybe it always works.
Maybe it always works. Okay, so let's change Uti to Uri. I don't know why. And let's run this again. And now it's a problem. You see?
Yeah.
Uti doesn't mean it's actually it's the best.
Yeah, it says the body is not equal.
Because okay, it's a nice error. So this is it. So I'm gonna do log here. I'm gonna change this to log just so I can talk about sleep. Sleep, yeah. Any questions regarding this? Neil?
No,
Shy? Okay, so
So now we finally get to sleep.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's
That's
pretty
what I'm
late here. Let's learn this thing. Sleep, as you expect, it's a util function. So let's bring util.
Oh,
And that's sleep between Shai and Uri. So util dot sleep 5 seconds.
nice, great minds.
We only
support 5 seconds.
Before that we did 10 seconds, both of us, and we kind of thought to ourselves, probably both of us said, this is taking too long. But now we said 5 seconds, so it's great mind, but maybe we were both stupid.
We're both learning.
Yeah. So I'm running it. Shy. 1, 2, 3,
1,
4,
Mississippi, 2,
5.
Mississippi.
This is not okay.
Nice.
Yeah, 5 seconds between Shai and Uri. 5 seconds. Great. The next one, I don't think I will be able to use the API for. The next one is util.waitFor. Oh, sorry, wait until. I think it's called wait until. We'll figure out in a second. I think it's going to make sense to do let bucket equal new cloud bucket. Let's do, as origin. Let's call it origin. And let's do destination, dest, and let's call it destination. Dest.
Whoa.
Now let's do origin dot. Thank God for this thing. On create, we got this thing here. I'm going to copy it. So it turns void. Now I need to do cloud dot. And now I need to do this thing. Pretty good. It's pretty good. You guys laughing, but this is pretty good. I mean, what I'm going to achieve in this thing is crazy. So
Yeah,
I think,
you also don't need the void, but never mind.
yeah, I don't have to. Right, I don't have to have the void.
You also don't need the type.
No, I have to have the type.
No, you don't.
What do you mean?
Remove
You
it.
can.
I can remove it because that's something we should fix something. It's at one point, right? Maybe it was
It's a
supposed to be-
feature.
Yeah, okay, it's a feature. Dest, put, and we're going to take the origin get key. This is the file, and we're going to do two. Sorry, it's not inline everything in my life. Okay, get key. This is let s. It's content, and let's do dest key. S dot uppercase. So there's an origin, there's a test. Let's look at what's going on here. Let's do like this. Let's go back here a little bit. Get this a little bigger. There's an origin bucket. It has an onCreate function. It tells this function. I'm going to upload the file. I need a file.
Hope it's not something embarrassing.
Yeah. There's a lot of embarrassing stuff here. Latest, I don't know. Okay, this is a lowercase. Oh my God, I've done this before. Okay, so I'm good looking at latest. This is a lowercase. I'm going to destination. We have the same file. I'm going to click it. I haven't clicked it yet. I clicked it. Now, by the way, you can also do like this. This is a lowercase. So this worked. Wow. But this is not what we tried to do. We tried to do waitful. So let's show you waitful. Test main. So we're gonna write a test. This is again non-automatic test. Now I'm gonna write an automatic test. I'm gonna do origin dot put file some lower some okay. And then if I'm gonna do origin dot destination dot get, it's just gonna fail. If it's not gonna fail on localhost, it's gonna fail on the cloud definitely. Now I need to because this thing. What? This thing is asynchronously. I mean, there's an event that's going to happen. That's going to. I mean, the origin bucket is going to trigger an event, the onCreate event, and going to save this thing. So, sometime, I mean, after a specific amount of time, this is. I mean, the world that we live in, the cloud world is asynchronous. This event system is going to be triggered and run it. So I need to basically have some way to wait for it to happen. So I'm going to do assert. I'm going to do util. Did I explain it good enough? Okay. And I'm going to do wait until. And now it returns it accepts a predicate function. Okay, so I'm going to do like this. Should return a boolean. Wait. And the predicate function does f.get equal file. Okay, not get exists. Try get. Just try get. Let f equal try get. Sorry. S. Return f equal sum. I usually, you know what, I'll do this. It's just going to take a long time. You know what? Yeah. Do you understand what's going on here? Let's
Yeah.
first. Yeah.
But
So-
I actually do have a few questions.
Okay. This is a good time to ask the
So-
question.
First of all, do we have some kind of a timeout? Because if the test fails, if we don't get, would it wait forever to get the file?
Yeah. So I'm this is the parameters. Let's again get this outside. Let's be equal. Okay. So okay, great. Thank God, Mark. Thank Elad. I had no idea. So the parameters is wait until props. That's the second prop. And there's an interval and a timeout. The timeout interval basically means, let's see what it means. The timeout interval basically means, so first of all, this thing runs the predicate repeatedly and until it returns true or the timeout elapses. So the default timeout is 1 minute and the interval is how much times it does it. So because we don't want to wait a minute, we're going to do timeout. And let's do 3 seconds. Okay, not 5. And this is going to be good enough for us. And now I'm going to do some non-capital. And I'm going to assert B. Just for the sake of it, let's do a log before. Sorry. Oh, what's going on here? Okay. Log after. Wait, okay. I'm running it. See confusing faces. So this test should fail because this is going to be false. Let's see. Okay, so before it's waiting. Oh yeah. Just 1 second. Let's clean this. Okay, so first of all, let's run this again. Before
Or
STD is not defined. Unknown error. STD is not defined.
STD is not.
I think this is probably operation from second. Let's see. Some kind
Well,
of bug.
actually, we should open a bug about it.
Yeah, of course. It's a bug. So I'm running it again.
Try to remove the timeout. Or write ST.
Yeah, let's remove the timer for a second. In this thing. Yeah. Okay. So let's do let 3 let's see, timeout equals 3s. It should work. So timeout. Okay, let's see if this is gonna work.
I think it's still not going to run.
No, it's gonna work. Okay. So this took 3 seconds and the test failed. Oh, this is a problem here. The test looks like it succeeded, although it failed. Okay? It failed. And it failed because of this thing. I'm going to change it to sum. And I'm going to run this again. Let's clean this again. And then run it again. And now, first of all, it passed automatically. I mean, it passed in a second because everything happens on the localhost here. Everything takes a second. It happens immediately. If I'm going to run this test on the cloud, it's probably going to take an
You're feeling lucky.
Yeah, but the 3 second timeout is not going to work for us in the cloud because it's going to take more than 3 seconds. There's some warm up here. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. So I'm going to do wing test minus t ts aws a.w. Oh no. This is annoying. Minus progress. Okay, let's put this here.
Oh.
So it's compiling. It does Terraform init, and this test should be passing in the cloud. It's going to take some time.
In the meanwhile, we can talk about how awesome it is that we can write one test and run it locally and on the cloud, and it just works.
I think it's a miracle. I actually think this is. I actually think this is. We talk about the guarantee to work, and the guarantee to work is a promise that any code you write in Wing that works on locals. Oh yeah, okay. I have a problem here. Invoke fail unended full error access denied. Access denied. I need to check this. What did I do wrong? So
Guaranteed
to work. Yeah.
It's guaranteed to try and work.
Try get file. I need to check this. It worked to me on the on previous things, but I need to check what happened here. So I will check this. Now I'm wondering if we should. I mean, we have, and I'm sharing with you, Shai. We've just maxed out of the hour, and we do have another thing on the agenda. So I'm wondering what should we do. I'm consulting with people behind the scenes.
I don't know. It's our tradition to not complete our full agenda, right?
Right. So can we do this in 10 more minutes? Live coding. I'm looking at you.
We can try. We can try.
Are you going to?
We don't have to. We can do it. We can leave it for next time.
Yeah, we can leave this for next time. Yeah, I think it's a good call. So basically, we want to do something. We haven't done this. It's pretty common.
Standard procedure for us.
Awesome. Yeah, classic.
When are we going to talk about wire language?
Wire language, right. Yeah, it's a private joke. It's very hard to tell private jokes because people are listening. Two people, they don't know what we're talking about.
I think I saw someone commented. Oh wow, we have a few comments.
Oh yeah, we haven't looked at the comments.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it? Oh, why didn't you tell us?
I'm with them.
We were on.
You were on it. Awesome. Great. Awesome. Okay. So we're gonna have an exit song. The last part of Mark's gonna be our exit song. Thank you for watching. Thanks for all the people. I'm gonna add you back to Stream-A-Lot. Thank you a lot. Mark is already fixing bugs, so we're not gonna see him and choosing the next song. And thank you for all of you. Thanks, Tana, for being here and helping us. And as tradition, it's gonna be abruptly.